So this is your lecture on Jean Beaudry's A New Paradigm in Landscape Maintenance, and this article came out in 2017. So there are three objectives to this lecture. I'm going to tell you about a summary and how it works, and then I'm going to give you a summary of the article, and then I'm going to break down the article into what I consider its most important aspects. And I'm pretty thorough with this article because it's the first one we're looking at together. And then I give you some questions for you to consider, to try to answer, and to make your own notes. I've been pretty thorough, so I think they're very transparent responses to the questions, but it just gives you an idea of how I will be breaking down articles as we move through the course. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you what summarizing is. First of all, it's a very common writing assignment in most university courses, particularly in communications or any kind of composition or English courses. And what it's referring to is just summarizing a particular piece of material. And I'm sure you've come across this type of assignment. Even if you're unfamiliar with it in a university context, you've certainly come across it in everyday life. So there are three main components or requirements. It should cover the whole of what you're looking at. So it shouldn't be pieces. It should be the complete thing. So in this case, I'm summarizing the complete article. It should be presented in a neutral fashion. So it should have the appearance of objectivity. You should not be able to tell what I think about the article from the summary. And of course, it's a condensed version of the material presented in your own words, so it's paraphrased. Most summaries do not contain verbatim, word for word quotations. They don't normally include any citations either. So that's just basically summarizing in a nutshell. So the summary for A New Paradigm in Landscape Maintenance. You'll notice right away what I've done is I've told you what the magazine article is called, the title of it. I've told you who the author is. I've told you where it was published and when. So I've done all of this in that very first sentence, which is very customary. This is just what we do in summaries. And then I move on and I tell you right away the author's topic. And then I just break down the article and tell you what he's talking about right to his conclusion. You'll notice there are no personal pronouns. There's no I here at all, because again, I'm trying to write in an appearance of objectivity. I don't want to reveal what I think of it. That's not really pertinent in a summary. So I'm just going to briefly read this. In the spring 2017 issue, the Pacific Horticulture Society's magazine published an article, A New Paradigm in Landscape Maintenance by John Beaudry. Beaudry's topic regards the unsustainable landscape created in San Diego in the mid-1930s. Because San Diego was a strategic military base, the then President Truman worked with Congress to ensure San Diego had access to drinkable water. San Diego's water pipeline relies upon the Colorado River, as do communities, farms, the city of Las Vegas, and golf courses. Beaudry indicates it became clear early on San Diego's reliance upon maintaining a lush tropical landscape wasn't feasible. He indicates the old model of landscape and its maintenance, though deeply ingrained, are certainly no longer possible in California's ongoing drought. Beaudry also asserts the old model of lush acres of turf grass creates air pollution, noise pollution, and displaces wildlife habitat. Beaudry celebrates communities and cities that are returning their yards and environments towards their natural states. Beaudry closes his article discussing how landscaping, gardening, and horticulturists must adapt to more sustainable practices, which may also offer new opportunities. I want to apologize for my voice. I am so sorry. In the next few slides, I just want us to look at important aspects from the article. And I give you a quote just from that opening. That's just a quote. And then I'm indicating over here um, kind of what that part's doing. Here in the opening, Beaudry indicates the point of his article. So he's telling us what his topic and his thesis is. How homeowners are changing over from turf to sustainable landscapes. And he goes on to indicate that, and I'm quoting, these new gardens represent a new paradigm in horticulture. And then I give you his name, year, and page. That's no pagination. That's just indicating there are no page numbers because it's an online publication. I've also told you what paradigm means. So paradigm is a noun meaning a typical example or pattern of something, a model. So he's just saying that this is a new model, a new pattern of something. And of course, he's talking about landscaping. In the body of the article, and I just break it down for you with some quotes that are all cited, he moves from his introduction straight into the landscape maintenance industry, talks about trimming, pruning, mowing, and so on. And he tells us that these landscaping maintenance companies are bringing in sales of 25 billion and are consisting of nearly 258,000 jobs. And then he goes on to provide a history of how San Diego became an oasis in the desert and followed directly by California's recent and severe drought, though that ended this past summer. His body paragraphs rely upon reputable sources, quotes, statistics, such as a typical landscape consumes 75% of an average household's water. He asserts the old model of landscaping, gardening, and maintenance may be ingrained, but is not sustainable. This is his driving point. And he, of course, gestures towards pollution and habitat loss for wildlife. And his conclusion, which he subtitles Moving Forward, here it is where he's talking about how these companies need to get on board with the new sustainable landscaping, that their tools are and their employees' training are out of date. But he does end on a positive note, suggesting that adopting these sustainable practices and maintenance practices offers opportunities for growth for landscape maintenance companies. So, questions for your notes and consideration. So, what are unsustainable landscapes? How did they begin in the region that Beaudry is discussing? So, how did these unsustainable landscapes begin in San Diego? What are some ecological issues that you are finding surprising? And what does a sustainable landscape look like? And define paradigm. So all of those, I think, are questions that we've clearly answered already, um, which I think was important. I didn't want to ask you questions where you're sitting at home going, I'm not sure of the answer of this. So I do not want to do that, particularly since we are not in a classroom where you can just say to me, what are unsustainable landscapes? So it's important that I don't leave you in essence hanging. So I think these questions are easily answered, but there are also questions that I want you to further consider. And of course, I want to encourage you to take notes while you're reading. I mean, I can't make you, I can only encourage you. So that's the end of this lecture. Thank you very much. I quite enjoyed his article. I hope you did. I tried to pick articles and reading material that I thought that you would find interesting and want to engage in. I also tried to make sure I didn't give you too much reading. I'm not sure what your schedule is like, and I didn't want to burden you. Um, that said, I hope I'm also not boring you. So, well, thank you, and I will see you next week. That is all of your lecture notes are put up, I believe. I think I actually need to include how to write a business letter. Ignore that last part. All right, I will see you soon. Bye.